so the main dish that you eat when you're on a mono diet is a dish called khichdi, which Indian people consider their comfort food. It's like mac and cheese for us, only much more light, less channel clogging than mac and cheese for sure. So khichdi is the main recipe that you'll be using during your mono diet time. Also, during your mono diet, you will want to eat organically as much as possible so that you can avoid having pesticides and herbicides in the food that you're eating during your designated time for a mono diet. Also, avoid chemically fed, chemically treated, genetically altered, or irradiated foods. So you'll have to shop at the health food section or at your co-op or health food store to get your ingredients during your mono diet. And you'll want to eliminate processed or preserved foods. So basically anything that comes from a box or a can, you'll want to avoid those. Avoid artificial sweeteners, artificial coloring, and no fat or low fat foods made with fat substitutes. Eliminate deep fried fast foods and other foods cooked in reused oils, and avoid any hydrogenated oil. Really read the food labels, but really if you're avoiding canned or boxed foods, you won't be having hydrogenated oils unless you don't want to use Crisco. That is shortening is hydrogenated, and margarine as well. So those are not recommended during the mono diet. Also reducing animal fat. If you're a big meat eater, you'll want to eat much less meat. I don't recommend you go completely vegetarian all of a sudden anytime. That has to be done very carefully. But just having freshwater fish or chicken very sparingly during the mono diet. Now, you'll also want to avoid hard to digest foods such as heavy oily foods, large beans, meats, and dairy for the most part. Now that's there can be some exceptions on the dairy, especially if your primary dosha is vata, which we will be talking about in subsequent videos. Avoid hard cheeses, butter, cream cheese, and cream, pickles, condiments, ketchup, mustard, processed salad dressings, etc. Cold or frozen foods, raw vegetables. So if you are on a raw foods diet, maybe this is not going to resonate with you, but Ayurveda promotes, especially in the fall time, eating cooked foods. And then avoiding coffee, alcohol, refined sugar, soda, and excess salt. And then you'll favor whole grains, cooked vegetables, lentils, seeds and nuts in moderation, freshwater fish, and again I mentioned, grass-fed, free-range chicken would also be okay during this time, and organic turkey if you can find that. Just the very light white meats would be okay and very sparingly. Okay, then I have some more details on breakfast. You could have some cooked cereal, some granola, not granola, but oatmeal and other cooked whole grains for breakfast, and a stewed apple and pear. And so right now apples are coming into season, and it was such a hot summer. Apples are going to cool the heat in the body, and so having those stewed with cloves is a very nice thing to be doing during this fall cleanse. I highly recommend that, especially those of you who have a high amount of pitta dosha in your constitution. And again, I'll explain that in a subsequent video. And then for lunch you would have khichdi, and that can be modified for people who are out working during the day. Dinner can be khichdi, again, soups and flatbread, and some nut butters and other things. So please tell me, email me if you would like to receive specific instructions on how to do the mono diet. And again, not all of you will want to do this during the 21 days. You are creating your own wellness program right now. I'm just giving you ideas. So let me know if you would like instructions on how to do the mono diet cleanse. You could do it just for one day if you wanted. 3 days. I personally believe that it takes about 8 days to really get into the zone where you're not craving all of the foods that you typically do when you're not going through a cleanse. So 8 days would be ideal, but one would be great, and if you can do 2 weeks of the mono diet, even better. So that is all for today's video talking about the mono diet. I will be doing a lot more education on nutrition because this is the #1 way that we can, it's something that's in our control. You know, day to day we are controlling what foods we are deciding to take into our bodies, and it's such a huge determinant chemically on how we feel day to day. It's the #1 way that we can improve the way that we feel. And in Ayurveda, there's this belief that you truly are what you eat. Really quickly, I wanted to show you, you can buy Ayurvedic cookbooks. There's Ayurvedic Cooking for Self-Healing by Vasant Lad. These really do smack of Indian food, and it's helpful if you live somewhere where there's an Indian grocery store for these recipes here. This is the one that I end up using the most. It's called Eat, Taste, Heal. It has a section of easy recipes and then a section of gourmet recipes, and they are delicious. I love this cookbook, Eat, Taste, Heal. Also, the Amadea Morningstar has a couple of cookbooks, one that's more Indian food based, and then Ayurvedic Cooking for Westerners. And this one has some really neat simple snack recipes. And then from my school called Kanyakumari in Milwaukee, if you buy this cookbook called Taste Life from Kanyakumari, it has basically all the recipes in here that you would need to go through a full panchakarma. So this is a really great resource. And then one that I also use a lot, I have on my Kindle. It's called the Modern Ayurvedic Cookbook. So there are a lot of resources out there for recipes and guidance on how to eat well. In order to make the khichdi, you will need, there are really just some basic items that you can get, and then I have a recipe that's more of a fancy khichdi recipe, but the basic ingredients are very easy. You need to have some split mung beans, and this is what the split mung beans look like. Whole mung beans are green and they're larger, but we use the split mung beans. You can see that you may or not be able to see that there is still some green skin on the split mung beans, but we use the split mung beans because they cook in a rice cooker. And you can use, in place of the split mung beans, beluga, the little green beluga lentils, and also the French lentils are very tasty in the khichdi recipe. But you do want to have small beans that will cook in your rice cooker or crock pot or on the stove at the same rate as the grain that you're going to use. And one of the grains that you can use in your khichdi that makes the khichdi very beautiful, and it also alkalizes it, and it's actually not a grain, it's a seed. It's quinoa. Quinoa was used by Native Americans. It's a really neat grain that gets a little squiggly thing on it when it's cooked. And we also do white basmati rice. This is Vaidya Mishra's protocol for going through cleansing. Even though white basmati rice is not a whole grain, It's easy to digest, and it's not as high on the glycemic index as the Chinese sticky rice that's in sushi. So, and I do have some people that just really want to stick to whole grains during their cleanse, who just do the brown rice and then account for the extra cooking time, or cook the brown rice separately from the other ingredients. And then you'll want a personal spice mix. Here is a personal spice mix that I've been using on my kitchery. And the personal spice mix is a blend of spices that accounts for your particular bowel tendency. So we can be quick bowel, slow bowel, or medium bowel, and the spice mixes help balance your bowel tendency and also the way that you metabolize and absorb food. And the recipe that I have that I give out on my emails just has a general spice mix in it that is kind of tridoshic but non-specific. And so the best is to consult with me, and I can design a personal spice mix that is just perfect for whatever you have going on with your digestion. And I wanted to show you this neat thing too that I got at an Indian grocery store in Milwaukee, and it has different spice mixes in there. So even though we have a typical bowel tendency, we might need a little more hot spices one day and then some cooling spices another day. So this is a neat way to just have different spice mixes ready to go for your food, depending on where your digestion is from day to day. So those are some of the basic ingredients of kitchery, and then the recipe that I give out also has a recipe for ghee in there. Ghee is used in Ayurvedic cooking and nutrition. Ghee is a fat, and your cells have a double layer of fat around them, and so ghee is used to carry herbal medicines and, like I said, nutrients from your food into your cells so that you're getting nourished on a very deep level. And ghee is a huge topic. We could spend a whole 15 minutes talking just about ghee and how to make it. So you can purchase ghee at many stores, and I just recommend that you make your own, though. It's very easy. It can be intimidating to make your first batch of ghee, but it is very easy. So we can maybe address that if I get emails saying, you know, teach us how to make ghee. We want to know. So that is kitchery, and that is part of that is your main meal that you eat during your mono diet or panchakarma. If you would like me to create a customized Radiant Living detox and rejuvenation program for you, please email or call to schedule an appointment. My email address is patricia.wickman@gmail.com, and my phone number is 715-529-3061. Please visit the Radiant Living website at www.rlyaa.com for more information and pricing.